He wasn't forgotten because he was unimportant. He was forgotten because he was too honest to flatter power, too radical for polite society, too consistent to be controlled. This is the story of the man America needed, but America wouldn't keep. This is the story of Thomas Paine. Welcome to Mismythology. In January 1776, a 50-page pamphlet appeared in the streets of Philadelphia. It was clear, fiery, unrelenting, and unsigned, anonymous. It was called Common Sense, and it did what no founding speech, sermon, or declaration had yet done. It said, in plain language, that America didn't need a king. It didn't need permission. It didn't need to beg for freedom. It just needed the courage to take it. Common Sense sold 500,000 copies in a population of just 2.5 million. It unified farmers, printers, dock workers, and merchants. It gave Washington's army something to believe in when all they had was frostbite and famine. John Adams later admitted, without the pen of Paine, the sword of Washington would have been raised in vain. Paine wasn't a founder in the aristocratic sense. He wasn't rich. He wasn't a landowner. He barely had a home. He was an immigrant, a former corset maker, and a man of relentless conviction. He didn't believe liberty was for the few. It was for everyone. And he didn't just write about America. He fought for revolution in France too. He believed that no throne could be justified by birth, and that no church should own the mind of man. But revolutions don't like consistency, especially once they've won. As America settled into nationhood, Paine kept asking the questions power didn't want to hear. He criticized George Washington for abandoning the democratic cause. He called out early American greed, slavery, and inequality. And then he published The Age of Reason. In The Age of Reason, Paine turned his fire toward organized religion, not to destroy faith, but to challenge its chains. It was a bold declaration in an age of fear. And though Jefferson, Adams, and even Franklin had shared his skepticism in private, they ran for cover. Jefferson distanced himself. Washington went silent. Adams, never a fan of Paine, wrote, "He was a mongrel between pig and puppy, begotten by a wild boar and a bitch wolf." Paine went from revolutionary hero to pariah. He died in 1809, barely attended, buried in a field. No church wanted him. No politician praised him. He had burned too brightly and too honestly. So what does this information tell us about the so-called founders? That even in the early days of the Republic, myth took precedence over memory. That revolution was acceptable so long as it ended on their terms. That free speech was sacred until it was inconvenient. Jefferson spoke of liberty, but owned people. Washington led men in battle, but abandoned the man who helped rally them. Adams, the self-righteous curmudgeon, at least told the truth. Only Franklin, Paine's oldest friend, seemed to see the danger of taming the flame, but even he could not contain it. Paine wasn't erased because he failed the revolution. He was erased because he outgrew it. Because he kept asking for the democracy they only hinted at. Because he reminded them of the promises they wanted to forget. We're taught that the founding fathers stood as one, that they were a noble team, rowing in perfect rhythm toward freedom. But the truth is messier. They argued, they compromised with slavery, they made backroom deals. They clung to class privilege even as they wrote of liberty. And some, like Paine, refused to play along. Paine was not a team player. He was a torch. He lit fires where others wanted candlelight. So they wrote him out. His name faded from textbooks. His role reduced to a pamphlet, a passing mention, a footnote to the myth of unity. But time can also correct, if we let it. Paine believed in a democracy that evolves, not calcifies, in a revolution that doesn't end with the Constitution, but begins there, in a courage that doesn't bow to decorum. And maybe that's why we need him now. Because Paine isn't just a forgotten flame. He's the spark we keep pretending we don't need. They feared him because he took them at their word. He believed the promise. And when they wouldn't keep it, he reminded them. This has been Mismythology. I'm not here to rewrite history, just to remember the parts they asked us to forget.